Hi everyone, I'm James and this is Nuno and we're from the Philharmonia Orchestra.
And we're here to talk about ourselves, our instruments, and our time with the orchestra over a glass of beer.
Make your dad proud. Oh, I think I'm not making your dad proud. Oh, I think
You've got to add a little bit.
I've
Look.
really not made your dad proud.
A little bit. Boom.
Perfect?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Nuno, what is it that the violin can do that the trombone can't?
Well, the violin can definitely annoy your neighbors, like the trombone can. But we can't play as loud as a trombone. We can never get also the sound just so direct. The blend, it sounds like an organ, it just sounds epic, you know, trombone. The violin, that's not really what it does. We just get it from the mass, you know, so many violins playing together, it's just the sound. It's just a different thing. We can't do that. I mean, I'm sure the violin can burn and the trombone can't burn, so we should try that someday.
What about the speed that you can play at? Because I get quite jealous that I can't play as fast as you guys. Like, do you notice that? Being able to just...
Yeah, we can definitely play. I mean, you look at our parts throughout the repertoire and we've got loads of notes and really fast. We still can play as fast as flutes or clarinets, but we can give it a go.
Yeah, well, you sound amazing in the orchestra.
Yeah, well.
For sure. And one thing I've always been fascinated by are strings, and like, how do you know how fresh and young a string is or when it's going to go? What do you do for string breaks in a concert?
It's a good question. There's always people around that have a set of strings with them on stage. I'm one of them. And the truth is, I haven't had a string breaking in ages, but I've had people having strings breaking around me, and it was always me fixing it. That's actually, I remember once we were playing in Freiburg with Andrews Nelson. Did you do that tour? It's all Bruckner.
No.
It was all Bruckner. And Emily, the number 2 second violin, her E string broke. And I was the only one with strings, and I was sitting in the back of the section. So I just passed this E string forward, just so you can change it. And then the string just came back, and somebody said, oh no, it doesn't work. Because with the violin, we can have either a loop or a ball. So there's different types. But on stage, I always have this type of string that works for both. You can just take it off and it works. So then I just said, okay, just bring me the violin. So everybody swapped violins in the concert. It was in the last movement, so the instruments kept going forward and then one back until Emily's violin came to me. And it was the last movement, and I changed it, you know, calmly. It's fine. Everybody's playing. There's no pressure. I mean, I'm sure some people wouldn't like to do it because it's quite finicky, but I just doing it. And then the E string, I don't know if you ever heard it, but it's like when you're tuning it, this is not a great feeling because I'm still not used to it. It looks like it's going to break. So I was tuning it up and I was going ding, 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 ding. And just last movement, the orchestra playing super loud. And there was a great big pause coming. It was maybe 15 minutes, 15 bars to get there or something. And it was like just GP, and my desk partners looking at me like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Just ding, 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 ding. But I knew it. So I was tuning it, and I got to the great pause, and I just stopped, like, and I could see my desk partner, Helen Cochran. She just like, oh my God, thank God, because imagine if the whole orchestra stopped, and I just went, yeah.
Another thing I've always been curious about, and maybe a bit jealous about, why do the violins always get the tune?
I don't know why we always get the tune, but it's an easier, like we don't have the limitation, we don't have breath limitations like woodwind instruments have. So we could, in theory, play a tune that lasts for ages because the right technique, you just change it. And in a section, sometimes we change both at different times, and the sound never stops. So that's definitely one of the reasons, I think. The other reason is probably just a really old instrument. It's been around for literal centuries, and people perfected it quite well, I think. You know, so maybe it also sounds good.
Yeah, well, you would say.
Yeah.
Was your ambition to be an orchestral musician? Or
Yes.
Always?
Always. What actually brought me into music for real was orchestra. So I always saw myself as an orchestra musician. I loved it. I still love it. There's something about playing in an orchestra that I wish everybody experienced. So James, there's something that I never really understood. There's something I'll never understand. And this is how the brass players get tired to the point where they can't play anymore. So can you explain how does that happen?
I've probably got two approaches to this. As a general brass player, we use really small muscles to play our instrument, and physically, they're quite demanding instruments to play on those muscles, because you basically have to form an embouchure and then hold it like that for a long time whilst blowing a lot of air through. And you've also got the pressure from the instrument on your chops. You know, if you've got the mouthpiece, you can't just rest it there lightly touching. You try your best to make it as close to that as you can, but inevitably you have to press a bit. And you know, the louder you have to play or the higher you have to play, that effect is increased. And so the quicker your chops go, as we like to say. And for me personally, I did something that I don't know, I've never met anyone else that did, which was I tore a muscle in my cheek in 2017. It took a long time to recover. I probably never will or have fully recovered from it. It'll be something I'll probably have to manage for the rest of my life. That just makes everything more difficult to manage, and you have to really think about it. And
did you have to change your technique at all?
Maybe subconsciously, yes. Definitely when I came back to playing again and realised it wasn't just better, I had to think about how can I get through big programs, for example. And it's just a blessing, really, that I can get through big programs now, but it is something that you have to be careful and think about. And you know, to any young players out there, and I'm really lucky to teach quite a few really talented young players now, I would say you should be really careful and not push it, and always listen to your body. If your body's telling you just take it easy, then take it easy.
Now I've got a question about the trombone. It's like, how loud can you play?
You're probably better to judge that than me sitting in front of me, but I think we can play quite loudly.
It's loud.
Yeah.
It is loud. Yeah.
I don't know. What's difficult as a brass player and someone that takes it, you know, seriously and with care, is playing at the moments you have to play as loud as you can, playing as loud as you can, maintaining a good sound and blend. It's very, very easy to play incredibly loudly. Playing really loudly, like you said, with that organ-like sound that's, you know, either epic if you're playing kind of film music, or noble if you're playing, I don't know, Strauss or something. That's hard, and that's what I think sets a great, especially low brass section apart from a good low brass section, is one that can play the big climaxes with an amazing sound.
What does the trombone can do that the violin can't do? And vice versa.
You sort of touched on it mostly, which is that we can play louder, can definitely play lower. We're in some ways quite comparable, and when I play solo music or I'm teaching students, I spend a lot of my time thinking about or talking about how we should have string instruments in mind when we play. Either voices, and I don't know about you as a violinist and whether you ever think about singing while you play.
Well, actually, Isaac Perlman said exactly that.
Right.
He said that a violinist will spend his life trying to copy a singer, and a singer will spend his life trying to copy a violin.
And that's basically what we do. The only exceptions are when often we'll be playing string music, like Bach cello suites, for example, and as well as that vocal side of our playing, we're really trying to channel the string side. But for example, you know, one of the things trombone can do that most instruments can't are glissandos, but actually you can do glisses quite easily.
Yeah. Sometimes not on purpose.
Sometimes you do it on purpose, exactly. Like voice portamento, you know, that's a big part of the way we express ourselves when we play. So actually I think we're quite similar instruments, even though one's tiny, one's big, one's loud and one's quieter, one can play really fast and one does mostly semi-breathes. Actually, I think we have a lot in common, and I think all young trombone players should strive when they're playing to try and have that sound and that style in their mind when they're playing music that relates to string instruments. Nuno, do you have a favourite Portuguese tune from your homeland?
I've got many tunes I really like, and Portugal's got a really strong tradition. Fado is the main one, and I absolutely love it, and it just means so much about us. Although there's one song, it's not Fado, I think it's just a pop song, but when I was a kid, I learned it in choir, and I've been singing it every night. That's my song to put my 8-month-old daughter to bed. So she doesn't understand the language yet. It talks about the empire and things. It's not like as in how it was bad, but it's a lovely song, and I sing it with the guitar normally, not with my violin or with nothing. But I'm going to give it a go. Perguntei ao vento onde foi encontrar mago, sopro, encanto, nau de vela em cruz, foi nas ondas do mar, do mundo inteiro, terras de perdição. Barco, império, 1000 almas, por pau de canela e marzagão.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Does Louisa get to hear that at night?
She does.
That's amazing.
Every night I'm there, she gets to hear it, yeah.
That's so beautiful. I love
Once she
that.
starts speaking the language, I'll have to explain what the song's about, but for now, it works.
That's so beautiful. And surely our new theme tune.
Yeah. Boom. Thanks, everyone. This was Nuno and James from the Philharmonia Orchestra.
We hope you enjoyed the video. We hope to see you soon in the concert hall, and keep an eye out on social media and YouTube for more of this content.